Hello everybody, it's great to have an opportunity to come back up north of London to come and speak and meet investors or potential investors face to face and give you guys an opportunity to see what you think of some of the directors of some of these companies that you see on AIM. So we're here today to speak about Kolar Gold. That's our disclaimer, which effectively says please do your own research, as you should with any company you invest in. But we'll try and give you a summary of where we're at the moment over the coming slides. A little bit of background on Kolar Gold. So I've been CEO since the end of July this year, so coming up 4 months. Thus, I should probably give you just a little bit of background there. They IPO'd on AIM in the middle of 2011. It listed with options to acquire targets and explore in India. It was gold focused, the hints in the name there. They raised money at a certain share price, and in December 2015 they sort of released to the market that they were at a crossroads as a business, that they were running low on cash and that they sort of needed some new impetus, new direction. At the end of July 2016 the new management was appointed, which was myself as CEO, with a fresh injection of capital. So we raised 900,000 to inject into the company, £900,000. And the other executive director was Luke Cairns. So we joined the board at that time. Since then we've been implementing a threefold strategy, and our strategy and focus is gold, plus gold and gold. So first of all, India Gold. In looking at Kolar, there wasn't a lot of value we believed going to their assets in India and the connection that they had with a company called GMSI, which has become India's, or arguably India's leading gold exploration company. We thought obviously we had to assess those assets, the value, whether it could be commercialised or monetised in some way for our shareholders. But as it turned out, we were extremely pleased because they're very decent operators, very decent people. They've been there for 20 years. And that's kind of the thing you need if you want to enter a market like that. Somebody's got to put in that time, and obviously we were fairly brand new, so we weren't necessarily going to do it. The other thing we're looking at that we wanted to deliver to the market was fintech gold. So that was to basically use technology that utilises gold, and in that sense you've kind of got a from mine to market proposition for your investors your shareholders to make money from. And of course in fintech, if you're not heavy on development, that obviously is something unlike traditional mining can be, but it is something that comes into revenue generation very rapidly. The third thing we wanted to achieve very quickly was to have some jurisdictional diversification in a stable, known mining jurisdiction, and we found that in Finland, where we've got some high-grade gold targets there. But gold is the common denominator, and that was our strategy and focus. And over the 3 months and about 3 weeks, I think it is at the moment, we've locked all of these things in for the company. So the business model is to build capital value, I should say, by developing the assets and maintain that blue sky proposition that beautiful resource assets can provide. There is a focus to generate revenues from each division in the near term. So with the fintech side of it and with the Finland JV, we are expecting revenue generation from both of those divisions in 2017. And with the inaugural, the most developed mining project that our partners there in India are involved in, that is subject to the result of his economic feasibility study that's going on at the moment. That is scheduled to come online in 2018. So we like that. A lot of mining companies, the problem is it's a bit of feast and famine and you need the market behind you, but you really, I think, in this day and age need to build a more robust business model. So you need to layer it with where you have revenue generation of some description, coupled with, again, that blue sky aspect, that you can still hit a home run and achieve very big things with your share price, obviously, but with the value of the company. The board of management, as it stands at the moment, There's myself. I'm experienced on both sides of that, as far as creating and driving quoted public companies in both the mining and fintech sectors. We've got Luke Cairns, as I mentioned. He also joined the board at the end of July. He's former managing director and head of corporate at a Nomad and broker. We've got Dr. M. Hanuman Prasad, who's standing to my left. He's been on the board for a massively extended period of about 72 hours. He's a doctor of geology. He's been working on our assets. When I say our assets, Geomysore's assets, of which Geomysore we own 22%. But he's been working on those assets for the last 15 years in India. And we're not going to find someone better who knows obviously about those than him. And we have Stephen Oak, who's was there appointed as a director at the IPO and has been involved in the company since that time. And he's the elder statesman on our board with 35 years experience in mining, and then moving across to the investment banking side of mining with some large name companies. And anyway, that's the board of 4 that we have. So moving on to Finland Gold. The reason why I'm starting with Finland is because Hanum is going to talk shortly about India, and if I'm not a geologist, and if he talks about India and all the things they're doing from a geological point of view, and then I try and talk about anything geological, it's not going to sound great. So I'm going to go first and just give you a couple of slides on Finland Gold. Our JV partners, they've been involved in looking at gold exploration in Finland for 6 years. They went through 39 project areas. They've prospected over almost 4,000 square kilometres of land. As the principal of that pointed out to me from a study, there's something like 25,000 targets that drill down to 500 targets that are appropriate to be drilled, and from that you get one producing mine. So you need to cover a lot of area relatively cheaply to keep sort of narrowing that field down. They've collected over 150,000 soil samples and 6,500 till samples. They've completed 6,500 kilometres of ground magnetic and 600 kilometres of IP survey profiles. They've drilled 1,000 diamond holes and almost 1,000 RAB holes, rotary air blast holes. Right, where we've done a joint venture with them. So there are a lot of yellow stars and red stars on the map of Finland there. The yellow stars have been looked at by EMI in Finland, and the red stars the ones they're currently active in. So we did a deal with them on the Suomussalmi group, which is the one that's blown up there. We've got a first right of refusal on the Kumo group and the Hato-Ilomantsi group to the south, so that whole eastern side of Finland. Our licences, there are 5 licences and 2 pending licences that cover about 24 square kilometres. Our first priority is Koika, the Koika gold deposit. This is a known deposit to us. SRK estimated an exploration target of around 80,000 to 150,000 tonnes of mineralisation at relatively high grades there. We have highlight intersections from the 2016 rotary air blast drilling campaign that EMI in Finland conducted at Koika, showing some seriously attractive intersections. So where we are with Koika at the moment, we're in a position where we can go into a bulk sampling program in 2017 and process 10,000 tonnes of ore, and the target for us is to produce 100 kilos of gold. So we find that a meaningful thing to do as a junior exploration company. If you can actually produce gold, that's kind of a fundamental tick in a box. Our entry price for that also makes that attractive. But just to speak about this a little bit further with Koika, the typical gold mine sort of style, the underground mining that goes on in Finland or of these ore bodies, it's only the top little purple bit there that we've sort of assessed, or EMI in Finland and us have assessed at Koika. The target for us is several hundred thousand ounces of gold, but of course time will tell. Initially we want to prove that there's high grade gold there, which we'll be demonstrating next year. Just on this, we've got a joint venture with them on that set of licences. As I say, it covers 24 square kilometres. They're to the southern part of the Salmi Greenstone Belt, and it's about 600 kilometres north of Helsinki. Our commitment to do this, again, as Andrew sort of said, at this stage of the cycle, you really can get some bargain deals. I mean, things that you can really grow a lot of value from. So our commitment is 500,000 euros and 150,000 euros in stock at an implied price of 1.5p. And we've got 350,000 in cash left to pay in euros, and that's to earn into 28.7%, and we have an option to inject another 1 million euros to earn up to 50%. 100 kilos of gold produced next year, as I say, is our target. That represents just under $4 million US. If we take our whole option there, you're effectively just getting your money back in year one of your investment. And of course, you've now proven up that this is a gold-rich rich property. On the India gold, so just as I explained, I sort of need to go through that before Hanema starts talking about the details of geology and building mines and so forth. But I'll introduce you now to our newly appointed director, Dr. Hanema Prasad, and he can speak about what's going on in India.
Thank you very much, Cameron. Good evening. It actually gives me a great pleasure to share my experiences in India and the gold story of India, with which I have been associated with for past 15 years as a geologist, as an exploration manager, and the CEO of the major partner of that. Yeah. As Cameron said, Kolar is also part of that India's gold story, and Kolar Gold holds about 22% equity in the company called Geomysore Services India Private Limited, which has a large number of gold licenses and some of the most exciting projects, gold projects in India. Yes, in India, over the last 15 years, our journey has been tough. It's not that easy, but within a couple of years, I think we are reaching the destiny. We are going to monetize one of our key assets, very, very likely. So as he said, Geomysore Services is one of the leading mineral exploration group, mainly focused in gold, and that in Archean greenstone belts of southern and central part of India. In fact, it was established in 1994 by a company called Australian Indian Resources. It is a group of Australian shareholders backed by one of the key shareholders called Mark Creasy. They came into India in 1994, and the Indian mining sector has been opened for the foreign direct investment. And they have established the company and acquired a lot of ground. So it's last 20 years we have been exploring this country. Because of that exploration, today we have a large portfolio of mining and prospecting license assets in India, which covers more than 900 square kilometers. As I said, Geomysore was a company which was acquired by Australian Indian Resources in 1994, and Geomysore remained as the key operational company of the group. Over the last 20 years, Geomysore has explored about 26,000 square kilometers in the most potential area of India, that includes Archean and Proterozoic belts, under the reconnaissance permits. In fact, in 1994, when India opened for the foreign direct investment, they brought in 3-tier licensing system, and they brought in the reconnaissance permits or the exploration permits, which were not there earlier. So Geomysore could make the best out of that situation. We got about 26,900 square kilometers of the ground covered under reconnaissance permits, and we carried out a lot of work. As a result of that, we made a lot of discoveries, and Geomysore applied for 34 prospecting licenses, which cover about 930 square kilometers, and 3 mining leases, which cover about 26 square kilometers. One of the mining leases have already been granted, and 2 prospecting licenses are also granted to us in India. And another 5 prospecting licenses are due to be granted within next couple of months. The key projects that Geomysore has, that is Jonnagiri, that is where we are going to, where the feasibility study is going on currently, and the Kolar projects. I think most of you are aware of the Kolar belt or the Kolar mine, which has produced about 30 million ounces, which was started in 1886 by Britishers, and it operated till 2001 and produced about 30 million ounces of gold. Most of our licenses cover the extensions of the Kolar mine. And also we have projects in central India, that is Gurhar Pahar, somewhere here, sorry. That's here. And the other project is Pathalgaon, which is again in the central India. As I said, Jonnagiri is the most advanced project of the company. In fact, this is what made Australian shareholders to come into India. You can see this is a map of southern India. You can see the green parts, they are all the greenstone belts. They are the Archean greenstone belts. And Archean greenstone belts of southern India are very similar to the Archean greenstone belts of Western Australia. That's in Ilgurn Craton. This has brought the investors to India, and when they came in 1994, they covered most part of these greenstone belts under the reconnaissance permits. In fact, the Jonnagiri gold project, which is the advanced project of the group, is also located on one of the greenstone belts, a small narrow belt here, this one. And as I said, Geomysore also acquired rights over the extensions of the world famous Kolar Gold Mine here. Coming to the Jonnagiri project, which is the leading project of the group, we have Government of India has granted 30 years of mining lease over 6 square kilometers area, and we are permitted to mine about 365,000 tons of gold ore per year. That means about 1,000 tons per day operation is envisaged on this project. And also Geomysore obtained all the statutory clearances, which includes environment clearance, pollution control board. There are a number of clearances that we had to acquire in India. That has been done. And in the last couple of years, we have completed about 15,800 meters of core drilling, and it has been reviewed by the Golder Associates, Australia. We have commissioned them to prepare the resource models, and they certify the resources. Based on 30th June 2016 data, Golders have given a resource statement which has been announced is about 351,000 ounces of ZOR compliant resource in the indicated and inferred category. Currently, we are carrying out drilling to enhance the resource category and also enhance the resource base in the project as a part of the economic feasibility study, which is going on and which is most likely due to be completed in the month of March next year. And the economic feasibility is fully funded now. We have got about $2 million plus, and we will complete the feasibility study in the end of Q1 2017. This is the Golders resource statement. The Jonnagiri project area, which as I said, it's part of the Archean greenstone belt, there are 2 blocks within the project area itself. There, it's called East Block and the West Block. In both the cases, the mineralization is associated with shear zones, and it's a very typical Archean lode gold style mineralization, and it's a free milling type of gold. So East Block has a wide ore body, and it is amenable for the open pit mining. Whereas the West Block, bulk of it is an underground resource, though it has a small open pitable resource on the top of it. So total open pit resource, as per the Golder resource statement, is about 261,000 ounces, and the rest of it is an underground resource. The current feasibility study is aimed at converting the open pit resources. So it is mainly confined to the open pit resource so that we can commercialize the project as quick as possible. For the feasibility study, we have been using the international experts. That is the list I have given here. The geology, exploration and mineral resources, it has been taken care by Golder Associates, and pit optimization and those studies are being taken up by Ukwasi Group, which is from South Africa. The methodology that we have used for this economic feasibility study is we have international experts, mainly from South Africa and Australia, and we have a strong team of internal people like geologists, mining engineers, and plant designers, etc., process engineers, so that they can work together, and which we think is really necessary, because in an Indian cost structure and operational structure, sometimes the international experts do need to have a backup from the Indian team. So we have a group of external international experts and the Indian team as well. So these are some of the people mainly from South Africa, like SLR, Epoch, they are doing tiling storage facility, etc. And SGS has done the mineral beneficiation work for us. We have completed the first stage of pit design. These are the two pits. The left side one is the east open pit. It has the width of about 300 meters by 500 meters, and it goes to the ultimate depth of 100 meters. And in-pit resource as on today is about 145,000 ounces. The west pit is about 130 meters into 200 meters in dimension. Ultimate pit depth is 50 meters, and the in-pit resource is about 10,000 ounces. This resource we are going to increase with some more drilling, which is being carried out at this point of time. The mineral processing has been done by the SGS, South Africa. They have completed the beneficiation test work, and it has been found that the gold is free milling type with a 90% recovery. And in fact, in gravity circuit itself, the recovery is about 45 to 50%. So we are going to set up a simple gravity CIL, that is the preferred option. Initially, we will start with 1,000 ton per day operation, which can be scaled up to 2,000 ton per day operation within a couple of years. So a total mine life of about 10 years has been envisaged with the currently optimized pit, but with a lot of potential below the pit as well as along the extensions. Also, a tailing storage facility has been designed, and I think some of you might be familiar that in a tailing facility, you have two options. One is a self-rising kind of tailing facility, and the other one is fully contained tailing facility. For the environmental reasons, we are going for the fully contained tailing facility, which is really required under the Indian regulations. However, the detailed design is under progress. So with all these things being worked out under the economic feasibility study, we are still carrying out some amount of drilling. This current drilling is about 10,000 meters, which is to enhance the category. If you can see the image here, that is the optimized pit, and that is the ore body. The optimized pit as on today contains about 145,000 ounces, but the ore body still extends below, and we are drilling below the pit as well as in the extensions of the pit, so that we can enlarge the pit, drag further down. Currently the pit is at 100 meters depth. We are going to drag it to 160 meters with increasing the grade with the higher ounces below. So we have completed about 43 holes in this east block. Some of the best intersections I have given here, about 31 meters at 6.42 grams, 19 meters at 9.15. So these intersections will all come into the pit now. So this is the schedule for the project. We are going to complete the economic feasibility study in the Q1 of 2017, and we are hoping to get the funding by Q3 of 2017, and it would take about 12 months to construct the processing plant and other facilities. And if everything goes well, by 2018, Q4 of 2018, we'll get into the production on this project. That's what we are trying to achieve. And if it is done, then Jonagiri would be the first privately owned gold mine in India. I think some of you might be aware that India has only one producing gold mine that produces about 2 tons, about 60,000 ounces per day, whereas we consume about 1,000 tons per year. And this will be the first privately owned gold mine once it's completed. So apart from this, as I said in the beginning, there are a number of other projects around Kolar Belt and also in the central India. All these projects are going to be, and work is going to be taken up in the next year once feasibility study completes on the Jonagiri project. So we hope very soon we'll get into production in India. Though it's a long journey, as I said in the beginning, but we are reaching to the destiny.
So just on that, Kolar Gold owns 22% of this company, Geomysore, India's leading gold exploration company, or privately owned gold exploration company. And Jonagiri is the first project, and they have staggered licenses and mining lease applications and exploration rights. And that 20 years that they've been doing that, you can't, well, I guess we kind of have bought into it, but you can't replicate it. It needs to be done. And as India, we believe, will open up as a market and to international companies and international investment and what they do with legislation and their stock market over there, really Kolar being I suppose, the London-based way that people can get exposure to that, we think we're in, timing-wise, we could well be in the box seat for this, and it's hugely exciting. Jonagiri is massively credible and financially great for all of us, but it is just the tip of the iceberg. And India is a market opening up over time, as it should. That really should have a tremendous impact on Kolar Gold here on the stock exchange. So with what we're doing in Finland, we've got a gold-rich target there. We're going to prove that there's gold there next year, effectively generate our investment back in year one, which is fantastic. It's going to establish the veracity of that deposit, which is only going to increase in value. This Jonagiri project, if not the other 30 odd sites and licenses and targets that Geomysore have, Jonagiri itself is completing its fully funded economic feasibility study. So I know you're probably thinking at the moment, if this market cap of this company is 2.3 million as it stands today, and the market knows it's got about £1 million in the bank, and we don't have any financial commitments that we can't deal with out of that for the time being and for our own working capital moving forward into 2018, you're probably thinking this is one hell of an investment, and you'd be right, I would expect. But we've also got something for you, just to vertically integrate, in a sense, what this business model is about. We have the fintech dimension that we're adding to this company, or that we have added. And at the start of this month, we announced a 50-50 JV to actually bring an established, proven gold and silver trading platform to the Indian market. India is obviously a connection with us with what we're doing with Geomysore and the network that Kolar has access to there. But India itself is the second largest consumer of gold in the world. It consumes something like 700 tonnes a year. Recently, you might have seen in the press that India, in trying to stamp out the sort of the corruption in one part of their country, have taken off 500 rupee and 2,000 rupee banknotes and replaced them. One of the things this did was actually saw people buying gold in India at a 70% premium to what the actual gold price is globally. To counter that, the government then, well, currently are talking about possibly banning the import of gold. So where would they turn, I suppose, to get their gold and get that consumption? I imagine it would be from the only privately owned gold producing mine in India. And if we knew who that might be, that's probably a great opportunity. So on the fintech side of it, there's a reason why we like that market. Obviously they understand gold, they understand the use of gold for goods and services. If we can digitise that and provide a convenient option, we think that's a great market for us. We're able to get into that at a low cost entry point. And we're not IT developers. We've managed to get in at this, as I say, low cost entry point with a precious metals trading platform with an established technology. And that's why that gives us a very, a very cheap, for lack of a better word, way of starting to generate revenues from that in 2017 as well. So that's the third part of our, the third part of our strategy that we've implemented now in the just coming up to 4 months of being involved with new management and a new shareholder or new shareholder base in part. Just lastly on that, our partner for the gold trading platform is the Real Asset Co. you can actually go and buy gold on this platform now. I did, thinking that there was a chance Donald Trump might get in and that Hillary's election was already priced into the gold price. As it turns out, Trump did get in, but my gold's gone down about 5% over the course of those 2 weeks. But nevertheless, it's convenient, it's good. I certainly feel very comfortable owning part of my family's liquid wealth, holding it in physical gold. I think that's important for everybody actually in this room moving forward over the next few years. So, do yourself a favour and check that out. That is ready now. This is obviously not the India focused part of it, but as part of doing that deal, we bought 27% of this company. So we're getting exposure to that too. So if you become customers, it's still working for Kolar Gold. So please go and do that. So lastly then, we've got that threefold strategy. It's about growth and it's about income. We want the blue sky that, undiscovered gold mines can bring, but we want cash flow at the same time, and we want to have a robust, sustainable business model. We're extremely lucky. We didn't know this when we got involved with Kolar Gold, just how credible and great the operators that we work with in India are. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to strengthen that relationship, and indeed a reflection of Hannah joining our board, I think, speaks volumes about that. We have a fully funded economic feasibility study underway. On our balance sheet, our 20-odd% of GMSI is at £3.3 million, subject to a positive outcome, obviously, of the economic feasibility study. You would think that asset should increase. On the fintech side of it, we've got a 50-50 JV using a proven and robust technology platform, and that's the most important thing to me because developing tech can also be like digging holes looking for precious metals. It can go on and on and on. So if you've got something that's already sound, that's the way to do that. And we plan to release that first offering in 2017. On the Finland Gold side of it, we expect that to be generating revenues for us in 2017. As far as John Aguirre goes, subject to it, EFS, and subject to how we might fund the building of a mine, and we have several options there, that would come online in 2018, which is quite short term for an exploration company to be generating revenues on all three fronts. So if we can achieve that, that'd be be really pleased. Just to reiterate, there's our market cap. The market knows we've got about £1 million in the bank. It should be a good buy, but obviously do your own research and whatever the disclaimer said at the start. Thanks very much.